These are your latest rugby headlines for Wednesday, March 22nd. Supported by the Rees-Zammit experiment, Nicky Robinson says he wants to see Louis Rees-Zammit play for Wales. Rees-Zammit was selected for Warren Gatland's 15th match against France last weekend, a position he's played before, although not regularly for the Gloucester club side. For Robinson, the match in Paris was another opportunity for Gatland to experiment ahead of this year's World Cup in France, and some players performed well at the Stade de France. Read Scarlets legend Regan King's new life on the brink of danger, looking at positive aspects of defeat. He said on ScrumV podcast, "I thought Aaron Wainwright was best I've ever seen him for Wales. He was dynamic. He was physical. He had the ball. We saw him in play. I thought he was excellent. I thought Louis Rees-Zammit was great at 15. That might be something we see a little more of. Every time he makes a move, he has us back in the game over the payline. I thought Nick Tompkins and George North looked a little bit better as a partnership. They're still struggling there on defense, and that's a big area of concern. I think that's our biggest area of concern. Our core partnership is moving forward because we're looking at other areas. Except two. But this centerpiece, whether it's with Joe Hawkins and Mason Grady or Joe Hawkins and someone else I don't know, but these two looked pretty impressive. Again, I thought Rio Dyer was good. Llewellyn exit, disappointing, for Cardiff centre Max Llewellyn's decision sign for Gloucester next season and move away from Welsh rugby is disappointing. But he can't be blamed for wanting to test himself elsewhere. According Cardiff coach Matt Sherratt, strong centre Llewellyn, who is said by some experts be an outsider to make Wales's Six Nations squad, will move the Gallagher Premiership in time for next season. The 24-year-old son of 92-year-old Gareth Llewellyn has qualified for both Wales and England and is a former Wales under-20 international. His Welsh rugby debut was followed by WalesOnline in December, when contracts were off the table for next season, a situation that has since been corrected. It's disappointing that any good young Welsh player and good person, which is Max, decides that his future is elsewhere, Sherratt said. I don't think we can blame him because first of all Gloucester is a big club. It's a great place to go and improve his game. But it's also difficult for a young player to leave because you can see such a great future. Max is also a good professional, good around and gets along well with people. He will leave a gap with us. Honestly, I have another part of me as a rugby fan who thinks it's good for him, as he tries to experience something a little different while trying to test himself elsewhere. As you've seen before, you can always come back. It's disappointing to lose, but it's very exciting for Max to experience something new. Sherratt hopes they can avoid any further exits as Cardiff moves towards completing his mandate for next season. When asked if there would be more departures, he replied, "I hope not, especially the young Welsh players, because we have to try to keep them where they are. There has been a lot of talk about leaving the contract situation so late. There will always be players who go elsewhere, and rightfully so. I think there's a lot of pride in the game in Wales as well. And I think the lure of playing for Wales and playing for your own region would be very sad if that disappeared. There's a point to it. There will always be players to go, but the best youngsters, I sincerely hope we can keep our players." Fans Welsh Six Nations verdict. Your word Wales international available. Liam Williams will undergo a sweep following Wales's Six Nations campaign, but Wales internationals Mason Grady and Rhys Carre are available to qualify for Cardiff's away game to Zebre in Friday night's United Rugby Championship. Taulupe Faletau, Tomos Williams, Dylan Lewis and Josh Adams will return to training next week, making a heavy appearance in Wales's Six Nations campaign, with the Wales call-up Teddy Williams ready to join Dai Young's side. Cardiff coach Sherratt said of Williams, who missed Wales's final against France. It arrived on Monday. Initial thoughts were that it wasn't too serious. I hope it's towards the end. It's clearer next week. We don't have any definite information yet. Mason had a good campaign. I know he didn't play in the last game, but it was good to see him get his first few hats. That will serve him well for us and for Wales in the future. Rhys wasn't in the final pair, so he's looking forward to a game. But I think the general mood was pretty positive. Towards end of the season, performances got better as a team. I think they enjoyed the camp. Elsewhere, Thomas Young, James Botham, Rhys Priestland, and Liam Belcher are available, but Ray Lee Lowe and Josh Navita are still in rehab. Farrell, hangover. Former British star Jeremy Guscot said Steve Borthwick should be removed from his captaincy because he believed Owen Farrell was a hangover from the Eddie Jones era. Farrell was named captain of Borthwick's first Six Nations at helm of England. But like Wales, Red Roses struggled to enter tournament and were knocked down by France at home in penultimate match ahead of the World Cup. Guscot says Borthwick should think seriously about his leader on the pitch. Borthwick's decision to pick Owen Farrell as captain in the first place would either work incredibly well or go horribly wrong, he said. A hangover from Eddie. Farrell has a lot of Eddie, and that's probably what he saw when he became a coach. Farrell's warrior. Great leader. It's a hangover. And without Farrell, they'd just keep going. I thought they would move faster without this. A legacy from Eddie. I'm saying we need to rethink this. Is it advancing, and is England advancing with it? How long will Farrell play? The post-World Cup future is probably Marcus Smith and maybe George Ford. Many times, Owen takes the ball 30 yards from the sighting line, and it seems his first instinct is always to kick. It's much better to see there's a pass and then decide. Marcus's instinct is to run. George Ford's instinct is to crawl and then make a decision to kick or run. Owen's first decision seems to be kicking. The impact on the team is enormous. And if it's on top, it works. But right now, he seems a little slower before. More timid than before. And definitely kicks harder before. Between this last game and first warm-up match in the England camp, Borthwick has plenty of time to decide whether Farrell is right choice. However, side playing is not effective enough for him to be in the team and to be captain.